Hello everybody and welcome to Ain't Got a Question, a special one-off podcast mashup for Red Nose Day. I'm Dane Baptiste, the host of Dane Baptiste Questions Everything podcast.
Hi, I'm Marcus from Ain't Got a Clue podcast. This year, Acast are bringing you a one-off series of Red Nose Day podcast mashups.
Yeah, and I'm Kay from the Ain't Got a Clue podcast, and Red Nose Day is coming. So whatever you do, no matter how small, you can help people live free from poverty, violence, and discrimination.
Yeah, I'm Howard, Dane's producer and co-host on the Question Everything podcast. You have the power to do something incredible this Red Nose Day, whether it's a little or a lot. The money you donate will help tackle poverty, take action against violence, and bring an end to discrimination. Text podcast to 70210 to give £10 today. To donate £10, the word podcast to 70210. Text costs your donation amount plus your standard network message charge, and 100% of your donation will go to Comic Relief, a registered charity. You must be 16 or over, and please ask the bill payer's permission.
Ask it.
Ask it indeed, under 16-year-olds or over 16.
Remember when they used to do that on like Live and Kicking or whatever? You're like, Rod, what? Actually, you have to ask the bill payer's permission.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that answer meant no, where I was concerned. But please do donate, and for full terms and conditions, please visit comicrelief.com/podcast mashup to give what you can now.
Right, let's get on with the show then. For listeners of Dane's podcast, I just want to let you know about Ain't Got a Clue. Ain't Got a Clue is a very simple premise, kind of similar to yours, really, Dane and Howard. We,
Suspect.
at the start of each episode, yes, exactly the same. Fucking ripped it off.
Not even great minds, Howard. Suspect.
So basically, Kay and I listen to your podcast. I'm like, how can we do this, bro? But Kay and I are self-confessed absolutely horrible at quizzes. So we thought,
General knowledge on the floor
is poor. So we thought, how do we improve it? Let's make a podcast where at the start of every episode, one of us asks the other a quiz question. We then give them the answer, and then we have a little chat around the answer. And all you have to do by the end of the episode is remember the answer to the question. So that's the premise of our podcast.
It's a good podcast. I like that idea.
That sounds a little bit cleverer than ours, Dane.
I was like, that's nasty.
Well, despite Howard's misgivings, I do love the Ain't Got a Clue show. For those who aren't aware, Dane Baptiste Questions Everything is a podcast which does exactly what it says on the tin, with myself, comedian, writer, and occasional actor, and my producer friend Howard Cohen, aka The Hizzer.
Hello.
I actually nicknamed him that.
Yeah,
to be
that
fair.
first
Really?
episode,
That's
big
right.
moment of my career.
There we go.
There we go. So Howard got a name, and you guys got a podcast. Everybody wins. And so we have learned that by sharing information and knowledge, that trivia no longer becomes trivial in the minds of our listeners and our friends alike.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we go.
Beautiful. Well, that's the setup for the show. And as the producer, I thought we'd use the format of Dane Baptiste Questions Everything, but make all our questions centered around trivia and knowledge. Does that sound all right? Fair enough? Fair.
Fine by me.
I mean, who's guests on whose podcast here is my question, though. Like,
I mean, this is going on both feeds, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
but we were here first, so I feel that, it's my Zoom link. So that's the...
Oh, it's your Zoom. Okay. Oh, right.
Oh, is that how you're moving? Yeah.
Okay.
Howard, it's very clear who would have picked up their ball if they weren't getting the decisions going their way in grand football.
You have to pick me. It's my ball.
I'm going home.
Man, do you want to be in goal?
I was actually a goalkeeper as a kid, as it goes.
The way Kay said it, though, he's not respecting the goalkeeping way at all.
No, I actually was a hero in a penalty competition for charity. Again, doing charity work at a young age.
Penalty competition. He didn't even call it a penalty shootout. He was like, there was a penalty competition.
You know what? I actually had this amazing... my best ever moment of my career in football was this charity penalty competition. All of these different people from my school, and none of them could beat me. And I told a bunch of kids I was actually Brazilian. And that I played for Brazil under 19s, and loads of people around the area.
Do you know what? At first glance, that sounds bad, innit? Like, but then, like, nowadays Brazilians are called Fred, and they play for Man United. So Howard.
Howard.
It was actually. I told them my name was Cousinho. Which has stuck with some friends from school.
No, you should have stuck with Howard.
Well, you did the most. What a web of lies, bruv. You saved the penalty.
Charity, all for charity. So,
all for charity. Okay, cool.
And now it's full circle because we're here again for charity.
At the end of Howard's career, his footballing career, back when he started, giving back to the people. We're very grateful, Howard. Also, we're very grateful to have both Kate and Marcus on the podcast. Both have been guests on the podcast, and
we're grateful to have you on the podcast.
We're grateful to have you on our podcast. Thank you very much.
Like you. We've been grateful to have you.
I'm trying to be you on this podcast.
But really, guys, thanks for coming on the show.
Nah. I mean, look, it's great of you to come on here.
Yeah, look at Howard trying to save the podcast like everything else he does.
Welcome to the show. It's really
welcome back, guys.
So what we'll do is we'll set the tone of the pod now with Kay asking a question in the style of Ain't Got a Clue then, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to ask you a question and all you guys have to reply is Ain't Got a Clue. We'll give you the answer and then we'll jump right into it.
If I know the answer?
You still got to lie, all right?
Okay,
right?
sure.
So
What, you want no
Howard,
answer?
just keep lying. Just more lies, Howard.
Yeah, Cousinho.
I'm going to wake up my baby, honestly. It's really... Anyway.
Well, because of Nino.
little Nino.
Oh no, Nino.
Nino.
Papa.
Right, come on, let's
Right. Okay. So let's be serious, guys. Come on. Now this is going to be a particularly interesting conversation, because who was the only UK Prime Minister to be assassinated?
I haven't got a clue. Ain't got a clue, mate. Ain't got a clue. I actually think it's
Well,
not
I will
true.
tell you the answer actually, because we off the top of our heads we could probably name a bunch of American presidents, and I'll get on that have been assassinated or there have been attempts to. Right.
I mean, out there, they got a lot more guns.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Guns,
that's
yeah.
part of it, right? But the only Prime Minister to be assassinated was Spencer Perceval.
There we go.
And when was this?
Well, I'm going to get onto that, Howard, right? Spencer Perceval. So, but like, firstly, when I talk about assassinations, what are the people that come to mind?
Well, Kennedy.
Well, the word was created by Shakespeare, so that's some trivia for you.
Nice.
I didn't know that. Didn't have a clue about that.
I mean, wow, thanks for that.
I
Jane.
mean, of course, please do fact check that before I. I'm pretty sure it's based on the assassins who were like the Arabic like stealth people that were working during the Crusades. But maybe check that out. But I think the term assassination comes from Shakespeare.
Kennedy. You always think of Kennedy, right?
Big ones,
of course.
JFK.
That's
Quite a
the
graphic
one that
one.
worked, right? That worked.
Well,
Right?
and Lincoln.
Or did he? Because there's lots of conspiracy theories surrounding it.
That's where the term originates from as well. Conspiracy theorists was when people started speculating about the nature of the JFK assassination.
There you go. So you got like Lincoln. I'll say Lincoln was shot April 14th, 1865. Right. You've got James A. Garfield, July 2nd, 1881, and that was less than 4 months after being sworn in.
So he didn't even warm in.
He was shot
Just past the probation period.
at a railroad station, bruv.
Wow.
In a railroad station, James A. Garfield, right?
But this is before like Secret Service detail was a part of the presidential kind of package? Because I feel like I'm basing this largely on what I saw on Wild Wild West with Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones.
Which is good documentary.
Yeah.
I think so. It's very
Mechanical spiders. I'm really glad they don't exist anymore. Those things.
Yeah, I mean, man. Do you know what though? This is like if you look at all of these ones, like obviously Lincoln was shot at a theater.
Right.
And William McKinley was shot at the Temple of Music at the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo. So basically, anything that involved transport or entertainment,
that's where they get you when
stop
you're
going.
relaxing.
Have you heard the inverse conspiracy theory about JFK and Lincoln's assassinations? In that Lincoln was killed in Ford's Theater and JFK was shot in a Lincoln. There's a few more weird parallels that people come up with, but I don't know all of them. I think it's
But it's mad, isn't it, though? Like, in the US, they've had to think about that. Because remember when Obama got into power and his inauguration speech, they had, like, the bulletproof glass surrounding it. Like, which every flipping comedian for months was like, man, you know, for that inauguration speech, they're going to get Obama running laps around the stage.
Yeah. You know, his training was pure calisthenics and just dipping on and ducking and weaving. Yeah.
Let's remember that
Obama
Obama is from Chicago, so I'm sure he was more than au fait with that in the first place.
Yeah. He was
Are
genetically.
you assuming that he had a strap with him on stage?
Because he's from Chicago.
Chicago. It would have been smart, and the whole assassination thing was the reason why Colin Powell who I think was the former.
Colin Powell, God rest his soul.
Yeah, God rest his soul. He was a deputy general, and I think at one point after Desert Storm, people have said that maybe he should run for president, and the threat of assassination, I think, was one of the reasons why he didn't go for it in the end.
Yeah, it's very serious.
Also, sorry to cut you off.
Right.
He made the name Colin sound mad weird.
Colin.
Colin.
Yeah. I like that.
Colin.
I like that.
Are you Colin?
No.
Colin.
So I don't know.
Sharon once who said the name was Sharon.
Sharon.
Yeah, but that was he Israeli?
She was Jamaican. So.
Because you know you got Ariel Sharon in it. Yeah. That was a Israeli. Yeah. So I was assuming like, it might be like a Hebrew thing, but you're just saying her name.
No, she was Sharon.
No, she was Sharon.
My name is Sharon.
Yeah. So also another thing with presidents is they actually have, once they get the security detail, that is their security detail for life. Yeah. Nice. So Obama's security he got when he was signed in, right? Not really.
So like James, his name's James. He's the head of Secret Service for Obama. That's it. That's him for
forever.
life.
And I think it's Clinton. One of Clinton's daughters married their family security guard because you get close to the family, don't you?
Yeah, but that's mad weird, man. What kind of abuse of power is going on there? Like,
hey, James, you're always with me, so why don't you just go prom with me?
It's natural. Ever since Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner.
I think that they could have been watching. That could have been on TV. They were both watching it, and they looked at each other. There you go. That's
the bodyguard.
So yeah, security is serious because of all of this.
What about Reagan? That's someone who they tried to assassinate. Isn't it?
So that was upon returning to his limousine after a speech in Washington D.C. You're seeing a pattern. A lot of these are just in Washington D.C. Yeah. There's a few other attempts as well. You had Andrew Jackson in 1835. An insane man attempted to shoot Jackson, but 2 of his guns misfired. Jackson beat him with his cane.
Yes!
Nice.
And the man was apprehended, bro. Right? Gerald Ford in 1975. Lynette Frome, who was a follower of Charles Manson, tried to shoot the president, but had no bullets in the gun's firing chamber, and she was quickly apprehended. Like, if you're going to go and kill someone, this is 2 assassination attempts where it's like, one misfired, one didn't have any, bullets in the at least take the bullets, bruv.
You might want to check you got your bullets in your gun. I mean, I'm not going to try and advise people on how to assassinate others out here.
But here's the thing.
I think that's pretty obvious, though.
But here's the thing: Gerald Ford again, right? So in the same month, so that was September the 5th. On September the 22nd, Sarah Jane Moore fired 2 shots at the president in San Francisco. The first shot narrowly missed its target as she raised her arm to fire again. An ex-Marine grabbed her, causing her to miss again. Wow. Gerald Ford is the luckiest man fucking alive, bruv.
The scariest thing.
Oh, and his name is Ford. Lincoln. He was shot at the Ford Theatre. There we go. But yeah, back to the Prime Minister, Spencer Perceval. He at 5:15 p.m. on the evening of 11th of May, 1812, Perceval was on his way to attend the inquiry into the Orders in Council.
The what?
As he entered the lobby of the House of Commons, a man stepped forward, drew his pistol, and shot him in the chest. Pow pow. Perceval fell to the floor after uttering something that was variously heard as murder and oh my god.
He probably went, oh my god.
I've been murdered.
Like to murder me.
I've been murdered.
And they're going, I think he said something like murder, oh my god. Like, no, he was going, oh my god!
Yes.
Someone's trying to murder me!
Oh, he didn't expect to die that way. He was like, I imagine I will die in a House of Commons surrounded by women and a lovely orgy. Murder! Oh my god!
Apparently those were his last words though, Dame. By the time he had been carried into an adjoining room and propped up on a table with his feet on 2 chairs, he was senseless, although there was still a faint pulse. And when the surgeon arrived a few minutes later, the pulse had stopped and Perceval was declared dead. At first, it was feared that the shot might signal the start of an uprising, but it soon became apparent that the assassin, who had made no attempt to escape, was a man with an obsessive grievance against the government and had acted alone. The assassin was a man called John Bellingham.
Oh, that sounds like an assassin's name.
Or a midfielder.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Jude Bellingham. He plays for England and Dortmund.
Yeah. I don't think they're related, just to let people know at home.
Well, you never know. You never know.
We can't confirm that.
We can't confirm that.
No idea how.
You can't confirm that.
Stuff out like that.
Has Jude Bellingham done a 23andMe test? You don't know.
That's a whole podcast itself, isn't it?
But Bellingham was a merchant, right? He was a merchant who believed that he had been unjustly imprisoned in Russia. right, and was entitled to compensation from the government, but all his petitions had been rejected. Can you imagine that, bro? Like, I set up a petition. I was on change.org.
Yep.
I set up a petition.
Yep.
And you rejected that.
Right.
So I'm gonna nank you now, bruv.
It's a bit much, but want to write a letter first, maybe?
But you rejected my letters. That's why I'm here, bro.
Exactly. But at some point, he would have been dragged away being like, don't worry, one day petitions will mean something. Once they have enough signatures, then you'll see. This is just the beginning.
Maybe it's the fact that when they allow women and children on the petitions as well, maybe that would make the real difference.
Now he is insane. Take him away.
Take him away.
What was this guy's last words?
What, Percival's?
Yeah,
or
what was his like? That's quite an amazing thing to be recorded.
Oh, his last words were murder, oh my God.
Right. Oh, right.
Can you imagine that said like as in like John Buck?
That's me.
Oh my God,
That's
murder.
privilege.
Murder,
That's
murder,
privilege.
murder
That's
in the house.
Oh my!
Murder?
It's almost offence, isn't it? Oh
Yeah. Murder?
yeah.
Well,
Not to be particularly,
How-
he could have said, "Oh no, I've been assassinated." If he was really trying to, live up to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was just the surprise, bruv. Like, rah, you killed
murder,
me.
you know. Me.
Imagine that you're prime minister, bruv, and like, rah, someone just killed me, bruv. Me.
Me, you know.
So Percival's body was laid on a sofa in a speaker's drawing room and was removed to number 10 in the early hours of 12th May. That same morning, an inquest was held at the Cat and Bagpipes Public House. That means pub for all
It's a
you
pub, yep.
charlatans. On a corner of Downing Street.
They held the inquest at the pub.
Yeah, and on a corner of Downing Street
Was
as
there,
well.
was there
they-
cheese,
of
was there
course
cheese
they
and wine
did.
there?
Probably, it was a work event.
Okay, cool.
That's as British as it gets.
Yeah, exactly. And a verdict of willful murder was returned. I imagine how long that took. Right, I think he's been murdered, lads. Anybody fancy a pint?
Yeah.
Let's make this worthwhile. About 3 hours in here. Percival left a widow and 12 children, aged between 3 and 20, and there were soon, and there were soon rumours that he had not left them well provided for. He had just £106 and 5 shillings. And what's 1D? I don't know what 1D is in a bank.
I don't know what that is, but
Old money, by the way. Have you ever worked out how shillings and stuff work? I mean, Howard, you're probably old enough to remember. like, you know when you try and do like shilling converters and that, yeah?
There's a point in, yeah, exactly.
It's
I can tell
wild,
you
bro. Like, it will tell you, like, because I remember when I was watching, we discussed in another podcast.
Yeah.
Well, I was watching Peaky Blinders.
that's it.
Peaky Blinders. And I was seeing the money and I was like, how much money are they really making? And I converted it online and it was like, rah, this is like, they didn't, it wasn't 100 units. It was like something else.
Yeah.
I mean, quite a lot. Oh,
Yeah.
So the pence is the D, by the way. That's in old money when they have that. That means pences,
Yeah. So in a bank when he died. So a few days after his death, Parliament voted to settle £50,000 on Percival's children with initial annuities for his widow and his eldest son. Jane Percival married Lieutenant Colonel Sir Henry Carr, brother of the Reverend Robert James Carr, then Vicar of Brighton in 1815, and was widowed again 6 years later. Can you imagine like on this woman, bruv? She died 74 in 1844. But Percival was buried on the 16th of May, 1812, in the Egmont Vault at St. Luke's Church in Charlton. So any of you Charlton fans out there, Woolwich and all of that, get yourself down there.
Before the next home game.
Yeah,
lovely.
Just before you're paying,
there's a statue for you, motherfuckers.
Just before you're paying respects to like Carl Mendonca and what you did for your club, just go over there. Do you know what I mean? It was a private funeral. Lord Eldon, Lord Liverpool, Lord Harrowby, and Richard Ryder. What a name!
That's
what a
great.
name that is, bro. All the pallbearers. The previous day, Bellingham had been tried and refusing to enter a plea of insanity, he was found guilty and he was hanged on the 18th of May. So 2 days after I think he was laid to rest, he was killed. But yeah. I mean, there you go. Spencer Percival, British statesman and barrister, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from October 1809 until his assassination in May 1812. And he's the only British Prime Minister to have been assassinated and the only Solicitor General to have become Prime Minister.
And he got shot.
Yeah, he got shot. Cambridge educated as well. Imagine that, went Cambridge just to get duppied.
I need to in London.
Yeah.
by gunshot.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the thing. A lot of people always go like, "Oh yeah, like what? There's assassination." Like, in America, it's so much more common, whereas here, like, we've been around for much longer. Right. So, do you want to ask a question now?
Oh, right, yeah. So that was the what's it? Have I got a clue?
I ain't got a clue.
that was ain't got a clue.
The name of their podcast, how it is.
So we're just gonna hand over to you now, Howard. From
Welcome back to no.
Howard, who isn't even on the title of the podcast. You ain't even on the front cover. Who are you?
Don't make me laugh. I'm gonna wake up my child. Right.
If you don't want your producer all up in your podcast, jumping
All
up in your
videos,
to Howard.
and your Zoom links, come over there, ain't got a clue.
Come over to
Right. Okay. So my question for this episode. I've got a preamble for the question. Right. So, do you remember a footballer who played for Scotland?
Dortmund, Jude Bellingham. I remember him.
Jude Bellingham. Yeah. No.
the great-great-great-grandson of...
In 1812.
No. So, do you remember a player for Scotland called Colin Hendry?
Yes, of course. He played for Blackburn as well, didn't he?
Yeah. Okay. So my question, I've got a question off the back of this question, which is, do you know what Colin Hendry's favourite film is of all time? because
I'm gonna go totally left field and go Moana. Disney's Moana.
Why not?
Pretty Woman, maybe. Something like that.
Yeah.
every woman, Dane.
Are we close, Howard?
What do you reckon? No, you're not close.
He's got a clue.
I'm going to go for 10 things I hate about you.
I think something with Sandra Bullock in it.
Incorrect.
Miss Congeniality.
Incorrect.
All right, Notting Hill.
Incorrect.
Is Sandra Bullock in Notting Hill?
No, but like well, now we're just naming
You're
films.
just naming films that Colin Hendry
Gravity,
might
also
really
starring
like.
George Clooney.
Interstellar. All right, fuck it, Braveheart. Let's go for
There you go. See, that's where you were going to go, but you're wrong.
Minions.
Colin Hendry.
Toy Story 3.
Incorrect. Colin Hendry.
Star Wars Episode 1.
Star Wars Episode 2.
Bad Boys 3.
got-
Bad Boys 3.
We've got over
The
half
shittest
an
of
hour
them
to
all.
fill here.
It's actually Bad Boys for Life, okay?
Yeah.
It was
Fast and
not.
Furious Tokyo Drift.
Yes.
None of those are ex-Scotland international Colin Hendry's favourite film. Colin Hendry's favourite film, last time I checked, was a film called The Warriors, about a gang of New York, in New York, about a gang going to a big... You never seen that film, The Warriors? Famous
Yeah,
film.
definitely.
Yeah, classic.
Now, you've got to ask
No, I
yourself,
haven't, but-
surely, why do I know that? Like, what possible... Like, it's only because my friend Ferg, who sometimes listens to this show, Ferg, used to talk about it at school. He thought that made Colin Hendry like a badass, that he liked that film. So my question is simple, really, off the back of that pointless piece of information that you now have about ex-Scotland international Colin Hendry. How much useless knowledge do you have in your brain? Because I have way too much.
Well, not much, because that's why we started the podcast. Ain't Got a Clue. If you want to listen to it, it's called Ain't Got a Clue. It's available on all.
Once again, we'd just like to welcome our guest, Dane Baptiste. Howard, thank you for joining us.
Questioning everything.
trying to fill it with a lot
What's this
more.
guy's problem, bro?
Question everything, guys.
What's this guy's problem?
Yeah, I love the way you question everything in your show. It's really a nice vibe. But you really don't have any, because that's why part of the reason I'm asking it is you must have some knowledge. Come on.
I feel like during the process of creating a show, my mind has been filled full of a lot of random knowledge, because we sift through stuff to get to the stuff that we talk about.
Yeah.
So there's loads extra floating around. And I am somebody who I love to watch The Chase. Horrible at it. But it is that Dane did all right on The Chase, by the way. He did all right. He did well.
One of the highest things that ever was.
Cash
I was on
builders.
Pointless.
How was that?
Let's not talk about it. We got beaten, right? So it was me and Rory Bremner. Rory Bremner does stuff on Radio 4. I thought this guy's got it in the bag, bruv, right? Me and Rory Bremner, yeah. Listen, I'm out here helping him, yeah? Here's one of the rounds, yeah? You had to choose like pictures of like an artist and basically say who it was. I just looked at any black artist on there. I was like, that's Drake, that's CeeLo, that's whatever. And nobody knew what those ones were apart from me. And I was like, yep, that's my thing. But yeah, we got beaten by, wait for it, Denise Van Outen and Duncan from Blue. in the final.
If you were to, on paper,
I know Dane can't say anything because he's always on with her on Steph's Pack Lunch.
Denise Van Alten is a polymath and a massively talented woman, to be fair.
Absolutely.
She's what people
However,
call a quadruple threat.
However,
Sing, dance,
thinking
trivia.
If you've got Rory Bremner,
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like he'd be packed full of knowledge.
I thought Rory Bremner was going to come and just like blow them away. Instead, Denise Van Outen and Duncan from Blue, bruv, beat us.
I think
Nice guys, nice people. But,
Rory Bremner could do an impression of someone who knows what they're talking about. That's where he went wrong. That's his forte, really. So
he could do a banging Spencer Percival, you know. I asked him.
yeah, exactly. But is there such a thing as trivial knowledge, though?
Is there such a thing as trivial knowledge? I have
Yeah.
so
Relative,
much
isn't it?
knowledge of football in my head. I think it's a complete waste of my brain power to know what I know. Like, I don't.
Are you one of them ones that go, well, yeah, no, but Arsenal had more XG that game?
No, no. I could probably tell you if you told me a game of some significance. I could probably remember who scored and like just useless stuff that just seems to have no real value.
It's not useless though.
How do you acquire that knowledge? Is it literally passive? You don't sit there studying minutes of games, do you? Does it just float in?
Yeah, it floats in.
Someone just chip it in there.
Yeah.
I
was gonna go for it. I was gonna say
you
they
could show me
come in.
pictures of hundreds of men that have played for Arsenal, and I'd be able to tell you all of their names. Like, I find that kind of like probably a lot of the knowledge is Arsenal based. Now I think about it, actually, Dane, because
About Howard, I have a theory.
Go on.
Did you go to football with your dad?
Yeah.
Then maybe that's why your brain makes a point to link all of the memories around your late father.
Maybe.
So that's probably why you're able to retain the information.
Now I'm like listening to stuff about what I saw Alberto Mendez Rodriguez in something. If anyone remembers that guy who Arsenal signed from the German fifth division in 1997, like what
That kind of fact.
Yeah, like why
Okay,
do I know
cool.
that? Like why would I need?
All right, who was the back four?
I mean, it's
Oh,
gonna be
Who was the
embarrassing if
midfield? Who was the midfield in 90? Was it 1990 when you lot played Liverpool at Anfield on the last day of the season to win the league?
Oh, well, you got David Rocastle, obviously, God rest his soul.
Rocky.
You've got Mickey Thomas, who scored the winner, the big moment. You've got Paul Merson. And I think you've also got...
I love the way you didn't mention anything about Paul Merson. Paul Merson.
Yeah, well, Paul Merson.
Who was
on.
alive? who was alive and a citizen of the UK?
And I don't know what, I'm struggling to remember the other person.
Still though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was actually, only a young kid at that point, so was
that the formation, Howard? Was it 3-5-2?
4-4-2 they would have played, I imagine.
so
Alan
you've got the midfield then.
Alan Smudger Smith up front, with John Lukic in goal, who then got replaced by David
Oh my
Seaman
God.
the year after.
Hard times.
I mean, this is what I mean, though. Why do I have this
John
knowledge?
Lukic.
Marcus is shaking his head. He's like, what's wrong with this guy?
Howard, it's going to come.
No, Marcus is an Arsenal fan. He's like, why don't I know
I'm
this?
shaking my head because I find that phenomenal. But I think Dane's touching on something there where you've obviously had some experience in your life where you've got really strong neural connections, and sometimes learning isn't all about sitting there and going, I'm going to learn all these facts. Because I feel like if you sat there, you wouldn't have had this. They wouldn't have gone in the same way. But it feels like passively, you can have this capacity to take on random knowledge like that. And it's random to me, but is it random to you? Because you got it all categorized in a specific way.
Yeah, but
You know
even
what I mean?
But I reckon football knowledge isn't as pointless as people make out, right? Like, if you're watching it and you take an interest in it, it's sort of like a lot of it's pattern recognition.
Exactly,
Right?
yeah.
So you're seeing certain players and the way they play, and you're seeing certain systems. It's allowed you to develop your understanding of the game. So when you're watching a game now, you're like, well, that's similar to what I've seen in X, Y, and Z, and
Yeah,
blah, blah,
I
blah,
guess
blah.
so.
Remember when that was like that?
And I'm planning on coaching my son's team when he's old enough to play football, so it might come into some use then.
Look at
He's
Look at
gonna be that-
aspirations.
Yeah, he's going to be
look
that
at
kind
that.
of coach as well. He's going to be the most serious coach to like 5-year-olds. Right, listen here, you shits. Right, here's what you're going to do now. Yeah.
It was, by the way,
Coach Howard Cohen, aka Cousinho, is firm but fair.
by the way,
I bet you he's going to do a documentary about it, like the United guys do with Salford. It's just going to be Howard's team are down 2-0 at half time. Howard has a decision to make. Does he take off his son?
Yeah.
Or does he put in the star striker?
no, never. I can never take off my son.
Well, then you can't manage a team, Howard.
By the way, it was Kevin Richardson who was the other midfielder that I
Oh, wow.
I forgot.
Wow.
And he moved on to Aston Villa a couple of years later. Like, why do I need to know this? Like, I think they actually played a back five that day, by the way, Dane, because we were trying to stop Liverpool from scoring. and then won 2-0.
Job done.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Great game though. You should watch a documentary about it.
Yeah.
1990.
It's the better Aguero for Arsenal fans. Obviously, everyone goes on about the Aguero thing.
Yeah, it's because it wasn't done in the Premier League. It was the old Division 1. If that was a Premier League season, I think it'd be there amongst them. But like, it's so funny. Football fans now just assume the football didn't exist before the Premier League. It's like,
pretty much.
It's just like, what? No, sorry, it's only Premier League that matters. Some fans will go as far as not even acknowledging when it was sponsored by Carling. So anything 2000 onwards.
My goodness.
Really?
That's how you remember.
If people forget the absolute amount of ballers we had in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
Right. And the standard of Premier League, right? It wasn't like now where the top teams were like so far above the other team. I think
was winning things, Brev.
Sorry?
Remember when Blackburn won things? That's
Blackburn were doing stuff, yeah.
Newcastle was doing
Villa
stuff.
were good. Villa were very good for a period.
Yeah, but like I think like nowadays, like the top takes so much more points away from the bottom. Back then, it was a lot more equal.
But that's what made it one of the best leagues in the world to watch. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it wasn't back then, to be fair.
Standard wasn't as good as Serie A, that's for sure.
No, Sierra back then, I mean, when they were rigging the matches, it was great.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. When the Mafia was in charge of the Italian league, that's when it was good.
It was good watching.
But it was funny seeing people like Ravanelli and Janino come over here to Middlesbrough and going, yeah, it's been my dream to play here. Shut up, man. You're only here because Brian Robson's managing it. Like,
we got Zola before it was good to see Zola at Chelsea.
And Di Canio and Faustino Asprilla. I remember he was a big deal when he came
Alberto
over.
Stolano, bruv.
Yeah.
What a player.
But
Fuck me, what a player
going
he
back to
was.
knowledge, Dane, people often ask me about Dane. They go like, how come Dane can remember, like on the podcast you talk about a lot of things. How come you can remember? I mean, these guys can't remember anything. From
Well, it's not they don't remember how it is.
These guys, who's these guys?
Trivia. Yeah, these idiots, Dean. They don't know nothing.
I asked them the question. They were like,
Okay, I've never had a guest ask us that shit. Like, we've talked to us like this before, bro. It's horrible.
Why are you two so chucked?
Lucky this is on Zoom.
they said they can't
You're
remember.
lucky this is on Zoom, big man.
Say the on Zoom, blood, yeah.
Talking what's over Zoom.
Wait till I see you IRL, bruv.
No one's scared of no one that says IRL, you know, blood. Howard is a good point. In terms of trivia, has been something I've always enjoyed taking in, but I've always put that down to the stuff that if I find out a fact or I find out information that piques my interest, then I tend to retain that. Whereas, like, I suppose more linear facts that you are presented in the form of like academia, I'm not always as inclined to remember it. But then that being said, I feel like my subconscious mind tends to pick stuff up a lot better than my conscious mind if I'm not interested. So there's certain elements of like schooling and stuff, like learning German, some parts of like English.
You're good at
some
German,
aspects
aren't
of
you?
like science and stuff. Nicht schlecht.
His German teacher came to a tour day when I was opening for him once.
Yeah, in Basingstoke, innit?
Wow.
Those are the days. Yeah, so I just retain information that I think interests me, and that ends up being over a number of different subjects. And also, like, I'm into like learning different things at the same time. I think if you can broaden your knowledge, because I feel like when people compartmentalize knowledge, like in the form of academia, you're really limiting yourself, and it's more about having hierarchy. This idea.
Well, that's like how they learn in Finland now, isn't it? They changed their education system so where if they're doing a subject, like they wouldn't they won't break it up into subjects. They'll study a time period, and they'll study like the geography, the history, the scientific discoveries and everything around the same time, and they'll work much more in groups. So because they'll know that certain people are stronger in certain other departments than other people, so they'll be like, oh well, Marcus is good at tech, Kay's good at like something. And like if you're in a group,
science, correct? Biology.
Dane's good at like history, for example. You put them together, and then like you could actually come up with a great piece of work. Whereas and they feel like people will learn better like that. And it's how you actually learn in the workplace, or how you work in the workplace more often than not. Anyway,
Yeah, definitely.
speaking as someone that's not been in regular employment since for a little while.
That's how it sounds. Yeah,
That's what they do in those office things, right?
Then they go to lunch and everyone has a cup of tea, I imagine.
Like and then drinks after work drinks. That's the thing, right?
You read the Metro and then something, and then have sex by the photocopy on the Christmas party. But they still use photocopies in offices, I assume so.
Yeah, of course.
Howard's suspiciously quiet.
I haven't seen a photocopy
As
of
the only man with a job.
right though. If you think about it, we've all got our own kind of level of trivia or like if you want to say expertise, right? So, for example, you've got phenomenal Arsenal recall. For me, like it's Star Trek. I love Trek.
Oh yeah,
so much. Like I'm not gonna start. Don't get me started. But like,
no, get on him at Trek Culture. What?
On
Picard
the
or
biggest
Kirk, Marcus?
Channel. Sorry,
Picard or Kirk?
Picard
or
or
Janeway?
Cisco.
All right.
Cisco.
All right. Okay.
Benjamin Cisco. He was
Look
because
at Howard googling vociferously.
Benjamin Cisco, and a lot of people are gonna say, "Oh, I know why you're picking Benjamin Cisco," but the reason why is because he did things on the edge of space that were so not Starfleet and clean cut, but he did it to get the job done. Like, so he was a captain. Like, if you watched it, you just realized he would do whatever it takes.
Tell them that fact you told me about the other day about the kisses and the
Okay, yeah. The thing I love about Trek, and I think one of the reasons I like it so much, so it's really interesting how Dane drew that line between Howard, your love of obviously your father and of your father and Arsenal games. For me, I realised the reason I like Trek so much is because it broke down so many barriers in entertainment. So, for example, Uhura and Captain Kirk, when they had their scene where they famously kissed, it wasn't the first black and white person kissing on screen together, but it was one of the first. And to have it on such a big show was quite a big deal. Apparently, this is some trivia that we picked up at Trek Culture. They were told to film the scene a number of times, as you do when you're filming a film. And what they did was they deliberately fluffed up the kisses other than the ones where they actually touched lips, because apparently there was rumor on set that they were going to change the scene so that they got close to kissing or not. And they were very adamant that we had a kiss between a white man and a black woman. So Trek's always been a show that throughout the years has really tried to push the boundaries.
William Shatner wanted to just be invited to the cookout. He's like, come on, man, I ain't gonna... mess this up,
William Shatner's like, this is my golden ticket. Come on, get me in.
This is my golden ticket into all the cookouts ever.
Let me try some of this.
What is this?
But they also,
what is this? Fried chicken.
They also had lesbian kisses as well, didn't they?
They had lesbian kisses. They had very interesting scenarios where, and I'll get into this and out of this without over-explaining it, they're characters that were gender fluid, characters that were...
So back in the 70s or 80s?
This was in the early 90s, but still, still though, this wasn't seen as much. So you had
characters... There's people that still don't, like, accept that stuff, and, like, that's pretty... like forward thinking from them.
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of every time this happened, there was always a massive backlash. There was people saying that this was out of order, preposterous. We don't want to see that on television. Political correctness gone mad. And it's even happened with the latest seasons of Star Trek. And I think for me personally, it was lovely to see a show where, when I was younger watching it, where they just got past all of that crap, past all that bullshit. And as a human race, we were trying to move forward and kill Klingons.
And then we was cool with the Klingons.
And then we're cool with the Klingons.
Do you know what I love about it? Yeah. Do you know what I love about all that? Yeah. If you saw the passion in Marcus's face right now when he was talking about all of that, yeah. But it's amazing that like you're seeing his face light up with something like that. And Marcus, if you looked at Marcus, you wouldn't necessarily think, yeah, he's into all that, but the guy loves it, bro. I find it so fascinating and like it's a wonderful thing. As much as we will take the mick out of it, but when you're serious about it, it's like raw, man.
Tell them, Marcus. Tell them that it was Kardashians before they were Kardashians.
It was Kardashians before Kardashians. That's right.
Before.
Yeah, they were the original long neck aliens. Yeah, and that's not even a joke about Kim Kardashian.
Big inflated bum heads as well. Go bumheads. See, that's a Trek joke. See, Marcus gets that. Kay's like, what the fuck's he talking about? But Marcus is busting up right now with that joke.
Well, it's probably time for the next question, isn't it?
All right, Howard.
No, I'm just moving it along as it's my job, isn't it? That's why I'm here. Just to move.
As soon as I bring up Trek, we move it on. All right, cool.
My name's not on the podcast, is it? My name's not on the podcast. I'm here to move it along.
Set your phases to rude, Howard. Thank you, Marcus. Man gets it.
No, thank you for answering my question. It went in all different directions. It was very enjoyable.
All right, 1994. Who played in Arsenal midfield?
Shit, we had a really shit midfield. No, we had a really shit midfield. David Hillier would be there. Paul Merson's still there. Mickey Thomas has gone. David Rocastle's gone. So it's a really weak midfield. Ian Selly.
I can say they were gone.
Ian Selly's in there somewhere. It's not a good midfield. Right. John Jensen is arriving the next year, if that excites you.
Do you know who the greatest team was, though?
Go on.
Manchester United Cup Winners' Cup winners.
Fuck off. Go home.
Beat Barcelona. Mark Hughes scored a great goal.
It was a good goal. Anyway, Dane Baptiste has a question for us to wrap up this very special episode of Dane Baptiste Questions Everything featuring...
Ain't got a question.
Ain't got a question.
I ain't got
sorry.
a clue who this guy is, bro.
Nice one. Right, keeping with the theme of questions and clues, I want to keep it relatively simple. Obviously, being sleuths and detectives are all popular genres within the subgenres within the realm of entertainment. But I wanted to ask you guys, who is considered
A slosh.
a slosh? A sleuth, not a slosh, K. But who do people consider?
I'm being so childish.
Both. Who would you say is the best detective / clue finder in history?
Oh, fictional.
I reckon it's the person that found out when who killed Spencer Percival
Tough case.
in 1812.
Jonathan Wikipedia, K.
just to clarify, are we talking fictional or are we talking real life detective?
I'm saying why not both? Why not
Sherlock Holmes.
So the best clue finder.
both? Or detective? Who
You know why I'll say Sherlock Holmes, yeah?
Go on.
Sherlock Holmes, everyone knows who he is. Little kids now, like, if you talk about a detective, that's probably the first name they'll bring up.
Yeah.
No one's bringing up the guy from the Bill.
I don't even know who you mean.
Exactly, bro.
Okay, cool.
Like, how many detectives?
You gotta give us more than that. Well, there's good detectives because
Like Sherlock Holmes, there's been like a iteration of Sherlock Holmes throughout every generation.
Okay.
Right now it's Benedict Cumberbatch, but like before that there was loads of other people that played
Well,
him.
I put it to you that apparently, some trivia I found out recently was that the most successful author of all time is Agatha Christie, and obviously Agatha Christie used to publish a lot of like whodunits and books about sleuths and stuff like that. So, you know, does that mean that she's the best? She has created the fictional best detective in her works, or could it be like Batman, who originated in detective comics, or could it be Sherlock Holmes or Hercule Poirot? That's the dude, right?
Poirot, that was the guy David Suchet played, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's right.
He's got to go with the best facial hair for a detective ever, obviously.
I always used to find
genre.
that when he was playing Poirot, I always found it mad. I was like, that's the guy from the news, bruv.
No better than, who's better than a journalist?
Right, so hold on. He goes and does the news, and then he finds out who's died, and then goes
back
and then
Comes
goes
back
and
for the news. It gets changed again.
No, he goes and tries to find who killed the guy because he just read it out on the news. He just puts his mustache on and then goes about his business trying to find out the killer.
It makes his job easy though when you think about it. Rather than being on TV being like, "Hey, mysterious murder occurred," he could be like, "This is what happened and this is who did it. You know how I know? Because I was there, bruv. Interviewed him and got the confession. Next on the news, keeping your mustache.
Is the weather.
Keeping your mustache next with the fine beard oil."
I thought it was very much. Do you know why I used to think that? Because it was very much like you remember how you watched the Adventures of Superman, and it was like nobody knew it was Superman until he put his when he takes his glasses off, like it's just like their glasses, bruv.
And even Lois Lane don't know, and she's a journalist. So
So
she's the worst journalist ever when you can't work out that. Like, I'm sorry, that's horrible, isn't it?
you think the clue would be when you're getting pounded through the mattress to the ground floor by a Kryptonian penis.
Like
a little bit of a trivia. What was his name? What was Superman's actual name?
Clark Kent.
it is Kal-El.
Oh, Kal-El.
Kal-El.
Kal-El, that's
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
Yeah.
Man went Clark Kent. Look at you going surface level there.
Son of Jor-El.
That's it, son of Jor-El, yeah.
Look, the best.
supposed to be-
You've got it
it's
wrong.
supposed to be
You've got it wrong, by the way. The
I got
best.
some trivia, by the way, for that as well, Howard, that Kal-El was supposed to be an interpolation of a Yiddish term, El, to describe God, which is why Superman, he's supposed to be based on the Ubermensch ideology, which is why he has a curl, like a Jewish man. So
Really?
He's got a little curl there, yeah.
Oh, didn't know that.
Nice.
Yeah, because obviously, like, if you think about, like, a lot of modern ideology has its origins from Jewish thinkers, like socialism and the whole thing with the Ubermensch. And then Americans, through McCarthyism, was like, we don't like the idea that you're saying to people can come together by themselves and be powerful without reliance on the government. And
Except in our sports.
Yeah, and then that's why they introduced Superman's weakness being kryptonite, because he didn't always have a weakness. So, yeah, that's some trivia for your AS.
Much like Tom Brady.
Much like Tom.
But you've all got it wrong, by the way, because the greatest detective, fictional of all time, has
Mike Lowry, Bad Boys. One.
Oh,
no. She has the best. She has a great theme song.
Oh, I know
She?
who you're talking
No,
about. Yeah.
I know.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh wow! Clip that.
Who? Edit that out.
Don't forget to give to comic relief, guys. Whatever.
Wait, this is what comic relief?
No, come on, you know who I'm talking about.
Of course, it's, Jessica Fletcher.
Pamela Anderson.
Jessica Fletcher.
Jessica Fletcher. Played
He took
by...
in Baywatch when they discovered who was fly tipping on the beach.
Sorry, that's funny. Jessica Fletcher is probably one of the best detectives.
Who's
in
Jessica
that.
Fletcher?
Murder, She Wrote,
She's
mate.
played by
She
Angela
wrote.
Lansbury in
I've
Murder,
never
She
watched
Wrote.
that.
It's not just a song by Shaka Demus and Pliers, Kate.
That's what I thought.
But one of the best.
Murder, She Wrote.
You know the Saturday Who Done It, so it's up there with Perry Mason.
Saturdays, Rochelle Humes.
Yeah, Rochelle Humes the best
The
detective.
Saturday that done it.
I mean, Colleen Rooney's a good shout, but I'd say Angela Lansbury.
Frankie Bridge.
Frankie Bridge. But yeah, what's it? Jessica Fletcher, because I think she was a great detective, Howard, because she only had to recant a flashback as to how the murder took place. And before any presentation of any forensic evidence or the lawyer, the person would just confess straight away. And I always found that very strange when she'd be like, and then you murdered him. And then the woman would be like, I gave that man 10 years of my life only to not get a dime in the inheritance. He had to go.
What was the best confessions?
She
Part 1 or 2?
I'd say 1 for me.
Do you know she made that series? She made that series for 12 seasons, 264 episodes. She used to get
Impressive.
30 million viewers a week.
Still.
I hope she made good residuals off that. But you know what's interesting? She's still with us as well.
Yeah, she is.
Because
Still
she was
out here.
old when the show started.
Yeah.
With all due respect, so I found she's still with us, bruv. That's fantastic.
She's out. She
96.
outlived Perry Mason, Columbo.
Yeah.
She's outlived Matlock. She's
Because
outlived.
in that area,
Columbo?
I was thinking in that kind of subgenre, should we say, within detective work. Columbo for me was the just one more thing. It was that. It was that, just one thing.
Who is the man?
Oh yeah.
Come on, bruv. Shaft.
He was a detective though, really.
Yeah, come on, man.
I mean,
Hey, some people say that Shaft is a bad mother. You know. So
Mother lover. Ooh,
shut up.
yeah.
I was talking about Shaft, baby. That I can dig it.
Shaft. Oh, what was that one with Hasselhoff in the car?
Knight Rider.
Knight Rider.
Yeah, the Knight Rider was a.
That is. Is that a detective?
But the thing is though, the car's smart in it, so that's taken away
Yeah,
some
Kid
of
did
the.
a lot
No,
of-
wait,
Yeah.
wait. Forget all of that. Axel Foley, Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2. Don't worry about
You
it.
know what? He is actually very talented in that. He's
He was a
often
good
overlooked.
cop.
Yeah, he's
But you think he was a better cop?
Was it 48 Hours, the film that inspired that? 48 Hours?
with
I think it was
Nick
48 Hours
Nolte.
film. So yeah, if you watch that film, by the way, if you watch it, remember it was made a very long time ago.
It don't have
very,
the
very
same,
long time ago.
it don't have the same ringtone though, like dun 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 dun. Before like Crazy
Oh, no,
Frog ruined that.
you're right. That's wicked. I was just saying his character in that, like you can see the elements of Axel Foley coming out. So you watch the film. There's a scene where he's in a bar and he pretends to be a cop, and you're watching it, and that's Axel Foley. You can see a director went, flipping, no, we can make a whole film of this. Do you know what I mean?
I see. But there's like a bit in there. I think like there's so many bits in there that are like iconic, and like Eddie Murphy was like improving a lot of it as well. That is just so hilarious. Like Allah Akbar, I smell pork. I used to be Muslim. I smell pork in here. Like just hilarious. And then like the other bit where he goes into the thing, and he's like the guy's there called Serge, and he's like, shut the fuck up. No, I cannot.
Yeah. Oh, and Serge is like, what is it pertaining? I love that.
I've got some trivia for that as well. In Beverly Hills Cop, the original protagonist was supposed to be played by Sylvester Stallone.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be Sylvester Stallone. And in the film, if you remember, Axel Foley comes to Beverly Hills to meet his old school friend after his other friend Mikey is killed by Victor Maitland.
Hey, Mikey.
In the original,
I
it was
smell
written.
pork. I used to be Muslim.
Trying to do the Eddie laugh as well.
Exactly. But what happened was it was written initially with Sylvester Stallone being a love interest for his friend, but then when they recast a black man as the lead protagonist, they were like, this should just be school friends.
Can you name a bit of trivia? Can you name the composer of the Axel F song?
Crazy Frog.
Fuck off.
Nokia. Nokia Corporation.
Nope, incorrect. His name was
Yeah,
Harold
no idea.
Harold Faltermeyer, and there is amazing footage of him playing it on Top of the Pops. If anyone ever wants,
Really?
he's on there just playing on the keyboard.
Do you know what?
Those were the days.
I'd go out, and if he was playing a DJ set, I'd stay for his DJ set for him just to play that.
I would wait. I would wait until you went ahead, Marcus, and be like, text me when he starts playing, yeah? As soon as you hear, then I'll be down there straight away.
We would have. Oh, that's bad. Harold, what was it?
Voltermeyer. I will.
Voltermeyer.
I will share this guy.
Man like Voltermeyer.
It's wonderful performance, amazing performance.
So, what about Batman as a detective? I think Batman's a pretty good detective.
He is known as the world's greatest detective.
There's a whole page. There's a whole page that on Twitter that is dedicated to like discrediting Batman. Yeah.
Is it run by someone called Bane? Because if so,
yeah.
No, it's just hilarious. It's just people going like, "Oh, Batman's basically like just a rich guy with like he's a million." Like it's just funny. Like, but they've got like a whole like everybody just talking shit about Batman.
But let's talk about his detective skills.
Being rich is a superpower.
They go. He's just basically Elon Musk beating up mentally ill patients. Like, and when you put it like that, you're like, right, he is. It's just wild.
It's a bit of a pessimistic spin on Batman, isn't it?
But he thinks he's above the law.
Yeah.
He's just a rich guy with money. He's everything we hate, bro.
He does spend a lot of time beating up petty criminals, like in alleyways and stuff.
Yeah.
But what for a guy? All right, picture this. Yeah, you're just a guy that's stolen a loaf of bread to feed your family. You come out of nowhere, this rich fucker out of nowhere just starts beating the shit out of you, and now your kid ain't got a loaf of bread, bro.
They are very careful in Batman to make sure that the people he beats up are usually trying to like assault somebody, hurt them. They've always got like a little
but you
knife
don't
or
know the
something.
backstory.
But they're just having a bad
They
day.
might be like trying to feed their kids or whatever, and then this guy comes out of nowhere like, oh, look at all this money I inherited, and we just beat the crap out of you, bro.
Right. Okay.
So moving on from Batman.
Almost feels like a natural conclusion to this episode, really, doesn't it?
Nah, Batman is the worst superhero known to man, bruv.
He's
like
all right.
at least Iron Man, like he actually came up with the ideas himself. Without Alfred, Batman ain't shit.
But you know, Tony Stark's company created like missiles and stuff like that.
Fair enough. But he weren't beating up little kids on the road.
Just blowing them up in other countries.
we don't know how old the aliens are in the invasion. They could be like 4-year-olds being forced as child soldiers.
Fair enough.
Like coming through that portal and stuff like that. But I don't know.
Stop ruining all my favourite things.
He's trying to beat up Superman. That's very xenophobic.
I'm gonna
and anti-Semitic.
And he's Jewish, yeah.
Oh yes! Oh my gosh, that's it. Now Batman, he's cancelled now.
Batman is cancelled, bro.
I'll throw a quick one in, and if you guys know it, you do. If not, it's just something that I really like. Jack Reacher. So Tom Cruise has tried to do the films. Ignore those. There's a new series that's just come out on Amazon Prime. This ain't me trying to plug it because I love the books. Read all 24 of the books. He's a military cop. He's a smart ass and he batters people as well that deserve it as well. Okay, he doesn't beat up people.
Use code Marcus25 to get 25% off your Prime Video subscription.
Not getting paid for it, but he's one of my favorite detectives, and it's because he's smart. He doesn't beat people up for no reason, but when he batters people, he does it in quite an interesting way. So there's like 25 books out there that I've read over the years, and he's really cool, really cool, Jack Reacher. But I don't expect you guys to know. You may do, you may not. But
you know who's a good detective as well? That Lisbeth from the Millennium series. You know, Stieg Larsson books, like the girl that put the hornet's nest.
The best detective is Sue Gray.
Well, that remains to be seen, Kay.
Yeah. Where are we putting Jonathan Creek in this as well? Where does he land?
That's good.
On Dave.
Are we not going to put Luther into the mix?
Dave.
Who?
Luther. We missed Luther out.
Oh, Luther's good. Yeah,
We missed
that's
Magnum
Luther.
PI out. We've missed
Luther's all right.
I think what
Magnum
makes
PI's cool.
what makes Luther interesting is that it's the sticky
black.
situation gets into.
No, that's what makes it interesting. You're like, oh right, it's Luther. He's black. He's Idris Elba. It's cool.
His name's Luther.
But if that was just a random guy and it weren't Idris Elba, you wouldn't be as invested in it.
Well, casting has to do with it, but like I think I like the stories, but I don't think he's the best detective. I think he just gets into a sticky situation. He's just sticky situation, and it's how he gets out of it is a good watch. But he doesn't do stuff. You're like, wow, that's smart. Like
he never really finds out. Then if everybody just tells him, so this must be the murderer, and he's like, well, let's go and check it out. That's what it is. Yeah.
What about Taggart? Is that a good detective? Taggart.
I mean, Taggart. In terms of length, like how many episodes of Taggart were there? Because he was doing that for years as well. There's been a murder.
Trust me, if you go into like ITV Gold Movies TV on your Freeview, you'll probably find like a marathon of Taggart.
Yeah.
You know
Tagger's
them
up there.
channels. Tagger's got to be up there. Obviously, we said Luther's up there as well. I think I'm going with Howard on this one. I think Jessica Fletcher's got it, man.
Yeah.
I think he's right. Yeah.
I mean, also, she was just on holiday at times, wasn't she? Just turned up and just solved
Out here just chilling, just hanging out with Tom Bosley. Just
She
minding her
was
own
the
business.
nosiest person ever in it. She had no business getting involved in these murders and solving them.
she's
But
right.
she
She ain't got a badge. She hasn't even got a badge.
She's got a typewriter. Her tool is a typewriter. That's her gun.
So what? She was the original Karen.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, not even Karen. Actually, no, she was a Karen because she'd kind of be like, "What are you doing in this neighborhood?" You'd be like, "Shut up, shut up! You don't fucking know me." And she'd be like, "Okay, well, here's a flashback for you." And then Tom Bosley would take you away with no evidence.
Well, it's been a revelatory episode of this. It's been a remarkable crossover.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Don't fucking fist pump each other.
I mean, you're welcome to come back anytime, Howard, man.
Yeah, we do a lot of trivia on our show. Yeah.
When we do an Arsenal episode, come through, innit?
Absolute pleasure. It's always good, guys. This has been a great episode, mashup episode of Ain't Got a Question.
So that's been the first and only episode of Ain't Got a Question.
Oh, we didn't write that in the script. What about next year? You just put
I
that
don't know
in.
who writes this stuff. Who writes this stuff?
Howard has no tolerance, boy.
So that was the initial episode of Ain't Got a Question. Thanks very much for Dane and Howard for joining us, and also thanks for listening. Red Nose Day is built on the power of laughter and making a difference, and we've never needed that power more.
The power of laughter is so important. So if you can, please give £10 this Red Nose Day and support people living in incredibly tough times. To donate £10, text the word podcast to 70210.
Text costs your donation amount plus your standard network message charge, and 100% of your donation will go to Comic Relief, a registered charity. You must be 16 or over, and please ask the bill payer's permission. For full terms and conditions, head to comicrelief.com/podcast mashup.